The Little Mermaid is Disney's latest live-action remake of one of their animated classics. They've done it with Beauty and the Beast, The Lion King, Mulan, etc. And I'll start by saying this. I'll make a full-on confession here. The Little Mermaid animated version is my favorite animated film of all time. Yeah, it's a little weird, I know, for a guy like me to have The Little Mermaid as his favorite animated film, but it just is. I was entranced by the music, the story, the animation, and I was just at that age where I just really clicked with me for whatever reason. So I was a little apprehensive about this remake because I haven't really liked the previous ones. I did not like Beauty and the Beast whatsoever. I thought Aladdin was just okay, and I just felt like all of these remakes were just kind of unnecessary. So again, I went into the live action remake, this latest one, with the same kind of apprehension, and yeah, same thing. You know, I never really have seen the point of doing these live action remakes of these classic animated films, but that's besides the point here. I just want to say, is this a good movie or not? And this movie is just kind of there, and it starts with the director, Rob Marshall. Disney uses him a lot. They used him for Mary Poppins Returns, etc. And he just seems to be the guy to go to for all these musicals. He's done Chicago and Nine and Memoirs of a Geisha. I'm like, is this the only guy in Hollywood that can direct a musical? Why do they keep going to him? I just never found any of his films to have any kind of a signature or style. They're just all very generic and bland, and he just doesn't stand out, which is really kind of puzzles me why they keep going back to Rob Marshall to do all these musicals when all of his films are just kind of like eh. And Disney once again utilizes Lin-Manuel Miranda, who I just cannot stand. You know, we all know him from Hamilton, but he's another go-to guy for these musicals. And they bring him on to kind of spice up the lyrics or bring in new songs, and I don't care for any of them. And this movie is 2 hours and 15 minutes long. It doesn't need to be. It's such a simple story. It's a simple love story, and there's no reason for it to be 2 hours and 15 minutes long. And why is it that long? Because they added 3 new songs from Lin-Manuel Miranda. Don't need them. There was one by the Prince, didn't care for it, didn't need it. There was another one by Ariel, I believe, didn't care for it, didn't need it. And there was even a song from Scuttle, and again, didn't care for it, didn't need it. It just prolonged the runtime of the movie. Now, as for the cast, Halle Bailey, I thought was fine. She can definitely sing, but I did kind of see her as kind of overdoing it or trying too hard or overacting. There was certain points where Ariel is supposed to be this kind of optimistic, hopeful character, but she kind of played her somewhat angry and depressed. Maybe that's just me, but that's the way I saw it. There's just one scene where like she's finishing a part of your world, and it's supposed to be like kind of like inspirational, but she kind of downplayed it and seemed almost angry. I went to my wife like, is she pissed at something? So yeah, I found her performance to be a little uneven, but great singer, but just not quite at the same level as the previous Ariels from Jodie Benson in the original film. And then there were a couple of other versions in live versions on Broadway, etc. And I thought she was probably the weakest one, but still good, but just not a right fit musically. But acting wise, she was fine. Melissa McCarthy is like the one big name in the film. She plays Ursula. I thought she was okay as well, but overall it was a good performance, and yeah, it was fine. As for the voice actors, they were all good. Actually, they're all excellent, especially Awkwafina as Scuttle. I think she brought a lot of personality to her role, and I'm glad that they made Scuttle a bigger character in this version. But yeah, overall the film just was kind of there, and that's again a testament to director Rob Marshall, Lin-Manuel Miranda, and the script. They just kind of I would say they were like about 85-90% faithful to the original film, and then they added a little few tweaks here and there, and they were fine. It didn't really impact the film that greatly. It was just kind of like there was no reason for them, and it didn't really add too much to the story. The visual effects were, again, fine. There were some parts during the Under the Ocean parts where like it was just very cartoony, but then my biggest gripe about the visual aspect of the film is that it just looked very cheap. I never once felt convinced that they were actually on a wide, big ocean in this boat traveling the seas, and Everything just looked like a soundstage or or green screen. All the set pieces were obviously done in a studio. I never once felt that they were really in any kind of big underwater area. I never once felt that they were in any kind of big ocean scene. And even the interior shot, I never once felt like they were in some kind of sweeping castle or anything like that. Every set, every scene was obvious to me that it was on some kind of a studio soundstage with green screen, and that kind of did take me out of the film a little bit. And again, Rob Marshall, that's just his direction, doesn't make things look good. So yeah, I have a lot of gripes about this movie, and I just it didn't inspire me. See, the tone of the original 1986 film, I believe it was, The Little Mermaid. The tone of that film was just so happy, optimistic, cheerful, inspirational, despite the conflict that was in the film. But it just made you have a good feeling. This one just felt a little down for me. It just, again, there was some hints of depression, just sadness overall, and I really wanted to have that feeling of hope and cheerfulness, and this movie is just devoid of any of that. It's devoid of any spirit, any energy, any soul. So yeah, it's like Ursula just took the soul out of this whole movie with her, and that's why I didn't care for it. So for me, The Little Mermaid gets a 5 out of 10. Thanks so much for watching my review. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel MC on Film for more reviews in the future.